Welcome to OLC 4.0. This is term 2B. This is the first class. We are going to be looking at the study guide and the introduction today. And then we're also going to be looking at nouns and basic sentences. Today is April 15th, 2024. And I am Jillian Percy. Here, as always, is my contact information. If you are sending in an assignment, send it to studentwork@nnec.on.ca. That way the secretary can log that you submitted the work, right? If it goes directly to my email, it's been happened to me, nobody else could access it. But this way, anyone who came in after me can access it. You want to include your full name, the course name, which is OLC 4.0, assignment number, and the assignment name if it asks for it. If the assignment asks for a rough and a good draft, please label which is which and include them both in the same email. My Facebook and YouTube are both ways that you can check things out. They have the same address, capital G, capital P, ERCY, space, capital W, AHSA. My Facebook, you can reach out to me and message me. Some people send me assignments through that. I have comments turned off for YouTube, so you can't really message me through YouTube, but you can watch previous recordings. This is the fourth time I've taught this course, so all the assignments have been covered. If you're someone who likes to kind of race ahead with assignments, you can go back and check those out and be able to see what's going on. Email is jillian.percy@nnecschools.org. Let me think. If you want to talk to me at the studio while I'm on the air, 1-800-465-7144. And if you want to talk to me in the office, 1-800-667-3703. My office hours this term are from 12 to 7. I have to lunch at 3, and I'm teaching at 6. A few of the assignments, you have to take a photograph of the assignment. If you have to do that, please send it as an attachment to the email. Don't just put it directly into the body of the email. It's kind of harder for us to print off. It doesn't always show properly on the one computer. Okay. So here is the study guide. Oh, it still has last term's times. This is term 2B. And the class will be starting at 6:00 p.m. And then it's going to run until 6:50. And that's all the different kinds of ways you can contact me. Same thing we just talked about. Okay. So this course is designed to help you acquire and demonstrate the cross-curricular literacy skills that are evaluated by the Ontario Secondary School Literacy Test. If the course is successfully completed, it will meet the provincial literacy requirement for graduation and also be counted as a full credit in English. Throughout the lessons, you will develop the skills necessary to improve your English, grammar, and writing ability. So it's really common for students to use this course as their grade 11 English or as their grade 12 English. You should have received the following in addition to the study guide: Units 1 to 4 and the novel Jimmy Comes Home. If you did not receive those for some reason, please contact me or contact the office so we can get those to you. If you aren't crazy about paper copies and would prefer the digital copies, you can also let me know that, and I'll be happy to send them to you. You may complete submitted assignments to your instructor, which is me, or to the DEC. Overall evaluation. All the unit assignments together are going to be worth 70% of your mark. The culminating activity, which is in Unit 4, which is the portfolio, is worth 10% of your mark. And then the final exam is worth 20% of your mark. At the end of each week, please try and send me all the work that you completed. We are in term 2B now. We only have 9 weeks left of the term. We have a lot of work to do. So you really want to try and get it done to me as quickly as possible. You don't want to wait till June. I have 94 students in this class. I don't want to be marking 10,000 assignments come June, okay? So please try and send it to me all the way along rather than saving it till the end. It is super important that I have a contact number or an email where I can reach you or leave a message or let you know how you're doing in the course. If for some reason we don't have it, please give me a call as soon as you can. You can just leave a message on my machine. A lot of people gave that to us when they signed up for the course, but I'm going through students right now and finding there's some students I have no way to let them know how they're doing. I can't send assignments back. So try and make sure we've got some way to contact you, okay? Course delivery. We are term 2B. It's going to run from today, April 15th to June 13th. Radio Zoom courses are from 6 to 6:50 on Monday to Thursday. Friday's kind of a catch-up day. I'm here in the office, but I don't teach that day. If you are able to call and participate in the broadcast, we encourage it. If you can't be in the Learning Center, you can listen at home or at work. It's also on the radio, or you can follow up afterwards if you are busy and listen on YouTube. You are also encouraged to call me for help. You can also oh yeah. Okay. Um, this is a tentative class schedule. I want to kind of go over this more, but in general, weeks 1 to 3, you're going to be working through unit 1. It has the most assignments. So sometimes people look at that and go, oh my gosh, it's too much. I can't do it. But you absolutely can. Okay. The other units are much shorter. Week 4 and 5, you'll be working on unit 2. Week 6 and 7, we'll be working on unit 3. Week 8 and 9, working on unit 4. Unit 4 is short. It really only has 4 assignments. They are bigger assignments, but it's just not as long, whereas unit 1 has 18 assignments. That's why I'm saying it. Sometimes people look at it and think, oh my gosh, I'm going to be doing so many assignments, but it's not necessarily the case. Okay, staying organized. Kind of important when you're doing this kind of thing to stay organized, right? We're not in a classroom. I don't physically have access to your assignments. If you don't hand them in, I have no clue how you're doing. So first of all, read through the study guide to make sure you understand what the course is about. Contact your teacher as soon as you start to introduce yourself. Like, hey, here I am. Here's my first assignment. It's fine. Plan to either attend the class or view the class recordings regularly. A lot of times when people contact me and they're asking me about an assignment, it's something that I've explained really thoroughly in the course classes. Now, I don't mind answering again. That's fine. But the course class goes on for like an hour, and I'm not probably going to talk to you for an hour on the phone. I probably wouldn't want me to talk to you for an hour on the phone. So that's the thing to keep in mind. Let me think here. Set your own goals for when you can finish an assignment. I'm going to shortly give you a kind of a rough outline of when I think you should get them finished. Okay. And it's rough. It's just kind of a goal. So here is this. I did not make this. Okay. This is their thing. By unit 4, everything from unit 1 should be in. By week 6, everything from unit 2 should be in. By week 8, everything from unit 3 should be in. And then obviously by the end of week 9, unit 4 should be in. Because this is the last term of the year, we have our last class on unit 13, and that is the day to hand in all of your stuff. And then the next day is when you would write your exam on the 14th. It's a very narrow window. I would strongly suggest handing things in early so you could also write the exam early, okay? Like I said, I've got a lot of students this year. Okay. If you are doing this course as an independent study, which most people are, you are totally welcome to set your own schedule. However, the term is done on June 13th. The exam is on June 14th. I can do the exam earlier if you finish earlier, though. I've included a possible schedule starting from today. There is a lot of work to be done. Please hand in them in as you finish them. So I am not marking everything the last week of term. Like I said, it would make it almost impossible to get the report cards done in time if everybody does that, because I currently have 94 students in the class. Oh, wait. That was one for term 2A. Oop, now we are in term 2B. So here is our new schedule. Okay, April's got 3 weeks left in it. First week, try and get assignment 1 to 5 done. Week 2, assignment 6 to assignment 11. Week 3, assignment 12 to assignment 18. Sorry, at that point, you'd be finished unit 1. That is all done. Week 4, assignment 19 to assignment 23. Week 5, assignment 24 to assignment 29. That's unit 2. Week 6, A30 to A35, numbers 1 to 3. Week 7, A35 to A38. That is, oh, there's one more. And on week 8, the very beginning, there's A39. And then we switch over to unit 4. All the ones 40, 41, 42, 43, those are all unit 4 things. Then there's a literacy portfolio and then the exam. So you can see there is a lot of work we got to kind of go through. If you are able to work ahead, like if you know you've got a long weekend coming up, or you've got some extra time, by all means, I strongly advise you to work ahead because it gives you some space. If you are following along and listening to the classes and you've gotten ahead of me, that's fine. Go ahead and listen to one of the other terms, right? I just finished term 2A. All that stuff is really recent. The assignments have not significantly changed. I am changing a few this term because I feel like there were some assignments that kind of consistently people are a little bit confused by. So I'm trying to make them a little more clear and a little more understandable. But you always have the option of doing the previous one, just in case you've already handed that in. That's fine. Let me think here. Yep, that's everything that's covered. Okay. Contacting your teacher. We've kind of gone through this already at the very beginning, and I say it again because it's so easy to lose a page and not really realize things. You can also hand in your work through fax, 1-800-463-7852. If you live in town, you are also welcome to just come over and drop by. We do have a lot of students who just kind of live in the area. You're also welcome to either call me to work on an assignment together. I have no problem kind of sitting there and working with you if you live in town. If you are not in town, I'd be happy to be on the phone and work with you that way. We could probably even set it up as a Zoom call so you can kind of show me your stuff. Um, I think that's kind of it. The big thing is if there's a rough draft and a good draft, please label both. They often have different marking schemes and are worth different marks. So if you just hand in one, I never know if it's intended to be your rough or if it's intended to be your good. So please hand them in both at the same time and label which is which so I know for sure what I'm looking at, okay? Okay. Oh, the picture thing. We've talked about this. If you have to send me a picture, which you do for assignment 3 and assignment 4, send it as an attachment. There are two ways to do this. The first is probably the easiest way. Most phones, if you take a picture, it will then give you the option to send it to somebody as an email, right? If you pick that and put my email in there, you're all set, okay? Just make sure in the subject line to tell me course name, assignment number, rough copy. And again, that makes sure that the secretary also knows and everything gets entered correctly in the system, right? The other way you can do it is you can save the picture to your phone, then send me an email and then attach the picture to the email. That's a little bit more work, but that's one you could do. It's a good idea if you were doing something like sending me a rough copy that you were going to mark up. Okay. Now, a lot of people don't realize if you are a WASA student, you automatically have um, a Google email with us, okay? If you don't know what it is, contact me or contact the office or Katie, and we will get it set up for you. It's really useful to have for this course. It gives you access to word processing programs like Google Docs and Google Slides that will help you complete assignments. Some of those you're going to have later on in the course when we do like cover letters and resumes, okay? Now, you could use Microsoft Word if you already have it, but that's also can be pricey and not everybody has it. But Google Docs is free with your student account, okay? So like I said, if you don't know what your student email is, let me know, call me, and I'll be happy to help you get that set up for you. Okay. Once you have signed into your Gmail, there's usually a little waffle or grid. You click on it, and all these different apps come up. Google Docs is the blue icon, and if you click on it, a word processing program will pop up. It's a great tool for completing the good copy of your assignments. A lot of assignments will ask you to handwrite the rough copy, but type the good copy. This is kind of what we're thinking of as far as that goes. Here is what comes up. Just click on the blank one, and you can set things up the way you want, right? Up top is all the typical stuff. If you haven't used this before, it is totally fine to just use whatever is on here without playing around with it. Um, Hang on a second. I probably am going to go through and just kind of very quickly show it to you so that you've got it in Google Docs. Okay. So here I am in Google Docs. Okay. What can we do? We can do all sorts of things. Like I can select the text and I could change the font color, could turn it purple if I wanted to. I could change what type of font it is. I could change it into this one. I could make it bigger or I could make it smaller. Let's think. I'm going to change to a different font because this one's kind of got some picky stuff with it. Okay. Let's see. I can make it bold. Bold makes it kind of fatter. It looks good with some things. It doesn't look so great with other ones. I can italicize it. Italicize it is when it kind of slants over like that. It was already italicized. That's why. Right now it's underlined. I can ununderline it. What else can I do? Oh, right now it's aligned to line up here with the left-hand margin. If I didn't like that, I could center it, or I could line it up with the right-hand margin. We don't do that very often in English because generally we read left to right. What else? We can create all kinds of bullet points. Bullet points are up here. I could just go like that. See, I made a little bullet point. I can use different ones if I want. I could also number things if I wanted to instead. I could indent things. That's pretty common, or unindent things. Let's see. We can change the margins. If I didn't like these margins, gather up all your text. Let me see here. Under File, if you go down to Page Setup, it has here, the margins right now are 1, 1, and 1. Sometimes people like a wider left-hand margin. Let's say they wanted 1.5. And then it'll slide things over. The other thing you can do, sometimes people want to turn the orientation. Again, Page Setup. Right now it's in portrait. So in other words, the short side is up top. The long side is along the side, kind of like a door. Landscape, it would be short on the length. Sorry, it's hard to put it there. And then long the other way. Let me show you kind of physically what that looks like, right? It's like a hot dog now in terms of the paper. Okay. Anything else important we need to do? You can add headers. Insert a header. Let me see here. Headers and footers. Headers are just something that comes up top. Like if I wanted to put my name on everything, be really common. Jill Percy, OL, OLC 40. That way it gets to everybody. Everybody always knows what it is. If a page happens to fall to the ground or gets mixed up somewhere else, everybody knows what it is. Sometimes people also like to number things. You can do that with headers or footers. Let's see, is there anything else? You can also check spelling and grammar. I'm going to make a spelling mistake on purpose here. Let me think here. Um, okay. So I will point out here, you can see it doesn't always catch all the spelling mistakes. So people kind of over rely on it. It's something to be careful of. All right, go to Tools, spelling and grammar check. Okay, so it doesn't like OUR because that's Canadian, not American, but we're going to accept it. Nope, we're going to ignore their suggestion. They want me to take away the U, but I don't want that. This, I just spelled correctly. And here, I accept the spelling change they've offered, okay? So that's kind of the basics of how to use Google Docs. And again, if you get stuck, go ahead and give me a phone call. I'll be happy to walk you through it. Okay, where are we at? Okay. So if you were to call me up right now, keep in mind that I am on air, which means I'm on the radio. So everything we're saying is getting taped and then sent out over the radio waves, right? I think it's like 92.2 or something. Anyways, if you are joining Zoom, remember that you should listen and participate, pay attention to what's being studied, don't surf the internet unless it's part of the work on current assignments, use polite language, inform the teacher if you need to leave the room. So if you've logged on but you've left the room and I'm trying to talk to you, obviously you're not going to be able to answer me. So just kind of in the chat, just kind of go, oh, I'm just running to the washroom or something, just so I know what's happening, okay? If I directly ask you a question, please respond. If you don't know what I mean, you can say, I'm sorry, but I don't know, or could you rephrase this question, or I need a little more time to answer, okay? Plagiarism. Plagiarism is a serious offense. It occurs when somebody borrows the words or ideas from a source without giving credit. If you submit another person's work as your own, or if you copy and paste from the internet without crediting the source, or if you just copy your answers directly from the textbook, it's considered plagiarizing. If you're unsure about something, go ahead and check with me. By the way, using AI is also considered plagiarism for the purposes of this course. Please do not use AI. The clear and correct use of the English language is an important part of all the WASA courses. I expect that you're going to complete your assignments using correct sentences and well-spoken paragraphs unless the assignment says otherwise. Keep in mind that spoken language and written language are not the same. We often speak in incomplete sentences. We use our voice and our facial expressions to fill in the gaps so that the listener can understand our message and how they feel about it. But when we write, we don't have access to those things. The reader can't see our voice or see our face, so we need to be more clear than we often have to be in conversation. And we use our words and our punctuation marks in such a way that it's more easy to understand without having those facial cues. Please remember that the classes are broadcast on the radio. You want to use language that's appropriate to the radio, okay? You are welcome to listen there. Keep in mind that anyone else who is listening to the radio can be listening in. So do not share anything personal over this Zoom call while you're talking to me because it goes out over the radio. I have no control over it. So be mindful. If there's anything personal or private, call me at the office and we would talk privately without going over the airwaves, right? Um, Sometimes we use a lot of slang when we're talking to our friends, but in writing we don't do that, like I seen or wanna or have to, things where we're kind of slurring words together, right? Also, computers are very important, and we've invented a lot of short forms like U for the word YOU or LOL for laughing out loud. Those are totally fine for Facebook and email messages, but they're not considered acceptable for academic or workplace writing, and it will cause you to lose marks. Speaking of computers, you are totally encouraged to word process your written work. It helps in a number of ways. It's easy to help you revise and edit your work. The spell and grammar check is super useful. However, if you need to handwrite, I know not everybody likes computers. Please keep in mind your handwriting has to be nice and neat so I can read it. If you're not sure, then you need to print or type it. Please try and make sure that you write in pen if you can, preferably dark black or blue. When people write in pencil, pencil can be very light, and often when I get it, I can't really read what it says. So try and do it as dark as you can. Yeah, don't swear, don't use obscene words. Um, if you're not sure, just leave it out. Let me think here. We've talked about this. Oh, my radio Zoom is HTTPS //NNEC -ON -CA .zoom.us /924-617-3555. Occasionally in the units, you'll see the old Zoom. There were a few places I didn't quite catch it. This is all the different information that we've already given. If you're looking for help with spelling and grammar, there's a little link you can click on in your study guide. Same thing if you need help with writing a resume, which we do later on as one of our assignments. Okay. Oh, some places have really bad internet, and if that's the case with you, let me know, call me. We can send USB recordings of the class, and then you would just plug it directly into your computer and open up the files to listen to things. Uh, if you want to use the link, you would use the link, click on it. It will say join with computer audio. Yes, you want to join with computer audio, even if you mute yourself, because if you don't remember to join with computer audio, then I can't listen to anything. Also, keep in mind when Zoom records chats, if you've had a private chat with somebody else, those chats get recorded as well and show. So a lot of times, if you were, say, messaging me, you could then message somebody else later on privately, And let's say you were annoyed with me or something, you said something kind of mean. The problem with that is later on, I will see it. And because these go on YouTube, everybody will see it. So be mindful of what you put in the chat as well, okay? This is a learning skills rubric. This is not for assignments, but it does show up on your report card. It's not about, let me think how to put it. Not about your actual assignments. It's more about your learning skills. So things like how responsible are you? How organized are you? How capable are you of doing independent work? Collaboration, which we don't really have a lot of in here because we're not really collaborating was when you're working with other people. That's not really a big part of this. Initiative is when you're like you try and solve problems on your own. You're excited by new things. You're kind of like a go-getter in that sense. Self-regulation is when you're kind of sort of monitoring your own behavior, but also your own energy levels, right? So if you're doing a big assignment, you don't wait to the last day it's due. You give yourself a couple of weeks. You plan, I'm going to do this chunk here. I'm going to do that chunk. That kind of self-regulation, organization kind of work together, okay? These do not get a letter grade. They just get things like needs improvement, satisfactory, good, or excellent. Okay. In the course pack, they introduce a whole bunch of grammar all at once. And I think it's really hard to actually understand it when they try and give you that much at once. I don't care for that format. So what I will be doing instead, every day before we do assignments, we're going to be tackling a little bit of grammar throughout the course. I didn't used to do this, but here's the problem. When I'm marking mistakes or errors in sentence writing, if we aren't both aware of what the grammar topics mean, then it's really hard for people to improve or to even know what I'm trying to say. Like if I say add more adjectives, but you're not 100% sure what an adjective is, it's pretty hard to fix. So basically my goal is to kind of teach you how to do it, but also to give us a common vocabulary. So when we're talking about things, we both kind of know what we're just discussing, right? Having said that, grammar is a part of the course. It is not the only part of the course. Occasionally I get people who feel that they're really weak on grammar and they get really concerned that that's going to mean that they're going to fail everything, but that just isn't the case. Um, it's always a balance of looking at your ideas, looking how you say ideas, looking at the grammar. It's one small part. It's not the whole thing. What is grammar anyways? Well, grammar essentially is the structure or the system that each language has for making sense. If we try and translate things from one language to another word for word, it often makes no sense. You're just looking like, oh my gosh, that's gibberish. And it's because every language has its own way of structuring a sentence, how they put it together. They convey information through different words or different word order or different endings that they put on the word or beginnings. This type of information might indicate things like when an action happened, who performed the action, the length of time it occurred, and a lot of other things depending on the language. Each language has its own grammar, and often grammar is the part that actually makes learning a language hard. It can be relatively easy to learn the vocabulary of a new language. Grammar tends to be the more tricky part. So I totally understand if that's the part that's tricky. It is for everybody. I'm going to dive a little tiny bit into this. It's not something you're going to be tested on. It's just hoping to make sense of why, say, English is so different than, say, Ojibwe or Ojibwe, and why they have different types of grammar. Basically, there's two main different types of grammar. One is analytical and one is synthetic. Analytical languages rely on word order. In other words, literally, what order the words come in and context to express grammatical relationships. In other words, to make sense. Synthetic languages use inflectional endings. In other words, little tiny endings that come at the end of a word to convey the same information. Now, English does use a few inflectional endings. Like we add an S to the end of a word to show that there's more than one, or we add ed to the end of verbs to show they happen in the past, right? Some languages use inflectional endings for much, much more than what English does. So analytical languages are also sometimes called an isolating language, and they're languages that use strict word order to convey meaning. Some languages that are examples of that are English, Chinese, Vietnamese. In these types of languages, each word typically represents a single concept, and the relationship between the words is determined by their position in the sentence. For example, in English, the sentence, "the cat chased the mouse," conveys that a cat was running after a mouse. And the subject cat and the object mouse is clearly identified by their position in the sentence. If I change those words, if I said the mouse chased the cat, it means something completely different. But in some languages, there would be like a little ending that says, hey, this is the person doing the action. Hey, this is the person receiving the action. And in that case, it wouldn't matter what order you put them in. Okay. In contrast, synthetic languages, also known as inflected languages, use inflectional endings to convey grammatical relationships between words. Things like Latin, Greek, Sanskrit, and German are examples of synthetic languages. In these languages, the ending of a word changes to indicate its grammatical role in the sentence. For example, in Latin, the sentence "Filius patrem amat," the son loves the father, conveys the exact same meaning as the English sentence above, but the relationship is conveyed by the endings of the words. Now, as far as what I understand, because I have looked into this a little bit, Ojibwe, Oji-Cree, and Cree are generally considered a type of synthetic language. And in those languages, verbs are very important, and a lot of times different inflectional endings are used to convey the meaning. English is considered more of an analytical language where what order you put the words in is more important, and it has much fewer inflectional endings. So if grammar is kind of an issue for you, this is kind of maybe one of the things is you're having to translate back and forth, and that's okay, right? Again, like I said, it's not the biggest part of what I'm looking for. Different languages have different preferences for word order, and that may include some languages could care less at all. The most common main sentence parts in languages are things like the subject, the object, and the verb. English generally prefers them in the order of subject, then the verb, then the object. SVO, I love him. But other languages put them in a different order. For example, subject, object, verb. She, him loves. Or verb, object, subject. Loves him, she. Or object, verb, subject. Him loves she. Some languages, such as synthetic ones, may use inflectional endings to show which word is the subject and which word is the object, and the word order doesn't matter at all. So if you're used to a slightly different order and English sounds a little bit weird, keep in mind that that may be part of what's making it hard, and be gracious and kind to yourself, right? Don't worry about that and get frustrated, right? I'm aware that that's a thing for many of our students, and I'm patient and I am lenient with that. I don't worry about that too much, okay? I will write little notes so that you know how to do it, but I don't mark it hard, which is the big thing people get worried about, right? Okay, so a basic sentence or a simple sentence in English has two main parts, and you probably use them all the time. I'm just giving you the names for them. The first part is the subject. The subject tells you who or what is the main actor or the main topic in the sentence. And the predicate tells you what the subject is doing. And in English, the subject always comes before the predicate. A sentence could be as simple as just two words long as it has those two parts. But it does also need to express a complete thought. So I could say dogs run. Dog is the subject, run is the predicate. He fell. He is the subject, fell is the predicate. Birds fly. Birds is the subject, fly is the predicate. Susan tripped. Susan is our subject, tripped is our predicate. Monsters lurk. Monsters are subject, lurk is our predicate. Now, if I have this sentence, John is funny. So John is our subject, is the predicate or the verb, but John is in a sentence all by itself. I have to finish it. John is funny. Now it's a complete sentence. So keep in mind the part where it has to express a complete thought. Sometimes people forget to check for that, and it might have all the right parts, but if it doesn't express a complete thought, it's going to need more until it does. Okay. Having said that, most sentences are usually a lot more than 2 words. Subjects must have a noun or a pronoun. I'm going to talk about nouns. Nouns are what are called naming words, right? They name people, places, things, and concepts or ideas. That last category is the tricky one. So some examples of nouns might be things like people, mom, nurse, doctor, house, firefighter, Jackie, or the dentist. Places might be things general like a store, or a name like a Sioux Lookout, or ocean, or restaurant, office, baseball field. Things could be things anywhere: pen, chair, flower, rock, poles, wood. Concepts and ideas, when we're trying to talk about, we've named a concept in a sense: beauty, sadness, democracy, excellence, popularity, respect. They aren't something you can point to or touch, but they are a noun because they are a naming word. Okay. Common nouns versus proper nouns. Common nouns refer to general things like a city, a mountain, a boy, whereas proper nouns refer to a specific thing or a person by name. Proper nouns are always capitalized. In other words, they have a capital letter at the beginning that shows that it's the actual specific name, not just a general name. Both common nouns or proper nouns can be a part of a subject. So could be a boy, or the name could be Jonathan Smith. City, or it could be Winnipeg. River, or Detroit River. Car, or it could be Ford Focus. Restaurant, or it could be named Kelsey's Restaurant. School, Sioux North High School. Book, Jimmy Comes Home. Okay, this is a big one. Singular nouns almost always have an article in front of them. There are only 3 articles in English: a, an, the. Those are the only ones you see in English, okay? A plural noun can use the, but it can never use a or an. A or an by nature means one of something. So I can say a desk broke, but I couldn't say a trees broke or fell. I could say the trees fell. Now, what's the difference between a or an? Basically, there's no difference. It's just that in English, some words start with a vowel. The vowels are A, E, I, O, U. And what happens is as we speak, it just sounds weird to say owl, apple. So what's happened is we kind of put an N there. It just makes it a little easier to say. An apple, an owl, an avalanche. We do it naturally when we're talking. It's just when it comes to writing, people don't always notice that it's actually a slightly different word than the a word. So these are considered indefinite. They're non-specific. The is considered definite. It's used when you want a specific, definite item. I don't want a pen. I want the pen with the gold handle. It can be used with singular ones, singular nouns, or plural nouns. I bought the chair we looked at yesterday. I bought the chairs we saw. Either way is fine. Okay. But in English, singular nouns have to have a, an, or the in front of them. This is one of the biggest things. People want to drop it off. Even if you had like a big desk, I can't just say big desk. I have to say a big desk. Or a small tree. I can't just say small tree. I have to say a small tree. Now, that isn't the case with plurals. Here I said that the trees fell. If I'd wanted to, I could have said trees. Can't say trees fell. It doesn't make sense. Trees fall or trees. I don't know. But trees fell isn't right for some reason. Okay. So it can be used. It cannot be with the plural form, but the singular form has to have it. Okay. You can also have adjectives as part of the complete subject. Adjectives can describe nouns or pronouns. They usually come right before the noun they're describing. They can often describe as something looks, smells, feels, or tastes. For example, I could also describe how many of something. Sorry, I didn't finish the sentence. Of something. So a subject can include an article plus the adjective plus the noun. That's often called a noun phrase, right? All of those words together would be considered the complete subject rather than just the noun by itself, which would be the simple subject. Okay. So here are some noun phrases. The crazy monkey. Monkey all by itself is the simple subject, but the whole thing is the complete subject. So apple by itself is the simple subject, but the complete subject is a ripe red apple. Skyscraper by itself is a simple subject. The old skyscraper is the complete subject. Rowers is the simple subject. 8 rowers is the complete subject. Coats is the simple subject. Different coats is the complete subject. Okay, so here's some examples. Wolves howl. There is just a noun by itself. A pen fell. We've got our article, our noun, and then our verb. The desks broke. Our article and our noun. The old smelly building. Our article, some adjectives, and then our noun. The sneaky red fox. Article, some adjectives, and our noun. The beautiful little girl. Article, adjectives, noun. The dangerous Mr. Stevenson. Article, adjective, noun. So if you're looking here, can you find the complete and simple subject? Okay, so the old copier is the whole complete subject, right? But just copier by itself is the simple one. Let's see if I can get it to go up to yellow here. Awesome. The terrifying ghost wailed. Terrifying ghost, the whole thing is your complete subject. Ghost by itself is your simple subject. And the reason we're checking on this is you have to have a subject, and for certain things I'm going to ask you to check. But if you're not sure what I'm talking about, that's going to be hard to do, right? So that's what we're talking about it. The hot, delicious pizza arrived. Hot, delicious pizza, the whole thing there is our complete subject. Pizza, just by itself, is the simple subject. Okay. We're getting close to the end here. Now, sometimes sentences might have a compound subject. In other words, they're talking about two different things, right? And that's fine. Dogs and cats love to run. Dogs and cats are both the subject, what they call a compound subject. Compound just means more than one part. Hot dogs and hamburgers are being cooked. Hot dogs and hamburgers are both subjects. Jason and Kevin have arrived to the party. Jason and Kevin are both the subject. Desks and chairs need to be cleaned. Chocolate and strawberry are my favorite flavors. Now you'll notice we do have to put the word and there. I can't just say chocolate, strawberry, desks, chairs. I have to have the word and there. Now, you can also put an adjective in front of those nouns. It starts to get a little bit longer. You have to be careful, make sure it's not so long that people get confused. But I can totally say something like creepy monsters and scary ghosts were out for Halloween. Crunchy chips and creamy dip are my favorite snack. The little black cat and the big brown dog played together. I generally find the more complicated the compound subject is, the simpler the predicate's going to be, just so people don't get lost. Now, we've talked about how a subject might be a pronoun. A pronoun is just replacing a noun in a sentence, right? Especially if the noun is long, like the Empire State Building, you get tired of writing it out or saying it. And so you end up using a pronoun because it's shorter. Instead of saying the Empire State Building, I just say it. So I replaces the person who's talking. You replaces the person you're talking to. He is for guys. She is for girls. We is for more than one person, but you're included in it. They is for more than one person, but you're not included in it. And these days it's also sometimes used for non-binary, which is fine. Okay, so here you can see it often comes at the beginning, just like the nouns. I ran to the store. You are allowed to come over. And you see, it has to come before the verb. Okay. It never comes. Oh, hang on. I'm gonna take the underlining off. Oh, no, off. Okay. So I ran. Ran is my verb. You are allowed to come. There's more than one verb in this sentence, a couple verbs here. He went fishing. She is on the porch. We can eat now. They are going. Okay. So the pronoun or the noun is going to be in front of the main verb of the sentence. Okay. It's important. It's one of those word order things in English. Look at these simple sentences. Do they have a subject or do they not? Okay. Some of them do not. Highlight the subject or we're going to underline it if it has one. We are going swimming. Well, we just talked about we. We is definitely a subject. Okay. Underline. Peter and Daniel like to fish. Yeah, Peter and Daniel, they're a compound subject right there. Okay. Watching the fireworks. Uh-oh, I've got a problem here because I don't know who is watching the fireworks. So I have to put them there. My family was watching the fireworks. Now, I would take that capital W and turn it into a little w because it's no longer the beginning of the sentence, okay? Before we fixed it, it was an incomplete sentence. Now it's okay because we've added a subject, but before it would not have been considered a proper sentence. I'm not going to fix all of them, but I just wanted to show you. I am happy. Where's the subject? Right there. Now, I'm doing the most basic sentences, okay? It is not always the case that the subject is the very first word, and we'll talk more about that, but we're kind of starting with the easiest stuff, right? The little green snake, that whole thing is my complete subject. Snake is the simple subject. Typed a message. Okay, so typed is an action. Who typed the message? I have to be able to answer who or what. So who typed the message? The spy typed the message. Okay, that works. And then the spy is your subject. Okay. The nurse is coming back. Who's coming back? The nurse is. Climbed a tree. Who is climbing the tree? It doesn't tell us. We would have to put something in front to say who or what is climbing the tree. It could be my little brother is climbing the tree. It could be the squirrels climbing the tree. That's fine. Okay, can we add a subject to these? Oh, I did not fix these. These originally did not have a subject, and we needed to add a subject. I'm sorry, I taught this last term and I forgot to take it off. My apologies. Super easy now for you. Originally, it said things like this. Went home, and we needed to add a subject. Here, felt sad. Here we got fished out by the second narrows. Oops. My shoe miss flew. Okay. Mom got a job. We take away mom. Okay, so these are all incomplete sentences right now. These are wrong. Yes, I'm deliberately making them wrong just to kind of show them to you, okay? Now, in some languages, I could put the subject right there at the end. It wouldn't matter. Went home, I. That's totally fine. But in English, you can't do that. You have to put something in the front. It can be a who or it could be a what. I could say the dog went home. That's totally fine. Some languages would have a different ending if it was an animate versus an inanimate object. That's not something English has, for example. Somebody felt sad. They felt sad, let's see, when their friend died. Okay. Somebody fished out by the second narrows. The boys, maybe, to make it simple. The boys fished out by the second narrows. So here are just some examples of how you would do this. Tomorrow, we're going to start looking at Unit 1, and we're going to start looking at your assignments. I am going to be modifying or providing some alternate assignments. There's a few assignments that seem kind of commonly confused or people get a little bit overwhelmed by. So I'm going to make a few changes in them. If you've already finished the assignment, don't worry about it. I totally will take the original assignment. But I'm going to try and make a few of the assignments, especially in Unit 1, just a little bit easier so people can kind of get off to a better start. So I am looking forward to seeing people here. Again, it'll be tomorrow at 6 o'clock, and we'll be working on the OLC 4.0 class. If you haven't got materials, or if you've already started working on things and you need some help, reach out to me. I'd be happy to talk to you. Just leave a message or shoot me an email, and I'll get back to you, okay? Thank you so much, and I hope you have a good evening.